Hi there, welcome back to Aidans Railways, and I do apologise for being missing for a little while. There's several reasons for this, as I'm sure you're all aware. We've all got the COVID-19 and the easing of lockdown and all that sort of thing going on at the moment. And whilst all that's been going on, I've been having to homeschool two children, as I'm sure you're aware from the bio on the actual channel, that Aidan Junior, or young Aidan, is in the autistic spectrum and things like that. So it's quite demanding, 24 hours a day in the house, and along with everything else that's got to be done, meals and the general sort of day-to-day work. I have actually been doing stuff. There was a couple of videos that were going to go up, and unfortunately, the actual videos themselves got corrupted and were unable. I couldn't do anything with them, so there was no video to show. It was a bit annoying. It was aggravating, especially seeing as some of them were to do with detailing on the models, but very little that can be done about that. And I hope a lot of you haven't been too affected by the whole lockdown thing, but during this period, whether it be COVID or not COVID related, I've lost a few people close to me, and to be honest, the energy wasn't there to do a video like this, for instance, and stand and sit in front of a camera. It just wasn't there. So I've took a couple of weeks out just to sort of do things that I've got to do. In the meantime, I have been busy. I've been buying things. I've also been selling things as well. I was having a chat with a regular viewer, Rob Kennedy. I hope you don't mind me mentioning your name. He often chats to me privately. I've got a Facebook page if you want to have a look there, Aidans Railways. You can contact me on there if you want any advice on anything. And he's got a YouTube channel, I think it's Rob's Model Railway. I'll double check, I'll put it in the description, so check him out. I feel very privileged to be one of the first people he started checking out on YouTube in relation to model railways. So I like to keep in touch with him. He did actually ask where I'd been and if everything was all right, because obviously I disappeared. But it hasn't been that long, it's only been a couple of weeks or so. But in that time, the channel's gone over 300 now subscribers, which is absolutely amazing, because to think it wasn't that long ago, it was only the beginning of the year, I think, where we hit the 100, and that was a pretty amazing time. So even during not uploading the video, people have been coming and have been watching the videos, and I've found it absolutely wonderful. But yes, I have been purchasing things and I have been selling things. And one of the reasons for this was we were going through the cupboards and the various boxes and tubs, and I was actually finding models, locomotives and rolling stock and things like that that quite frankly I didn't even know I had. And these are what I would call impulse buys and spur of the moment kind of purchases, usually at model fairs and that sort of thing. And I pick them up, and I usually have a project in mind for them, and they get put to one side, and then things change, or I get a better model and I can do something else with it. Some people could say call it an addiction, but I think anyone who has anything to do with model railways will actually know what it's like for purchasing items and then not realising just how much you have. So I came to the decision that it wasn't a lot of use just having these things stuck in the cupboard. And on top of that, why not give somebody else the pleasure of being able to use them themselves? So there's been a few things that I've been getting rid of on eBay. Nothing of what I would call my very personal collection, the actual things that I've really got out of my way to get a hold of. And similarly with Aidan, nothing's been touched with Aidan's or Katie's. It's just these things that I've picked up. So there's been a few French Jouf sets and things like that, and some 70s, 80s Hornby stuff. There's even actually been some quite early 2000s stuff gone. And one noticeable thing that you might notice in the background is that the HSTE is no longer on the shelf and has been replaced with Aidan's Virgin HST. And there was a couple of reasons for this. It was just being a shelving piece. It was just there on display the whole time, and I was never going to get around to finishing it because I've got too many projects with Aidans Railway, and there's far too many things that I need to do in relation to my railway or Katie's railway, especially mine, because mine's very specific as to what's to run on it. I've still got my pre-order in for the APT, and I do not intend to stop that pre-order because that is something I have been after for years. So that fact that Hornby are releasing what would be classed as an absolutely super detailed version of it, it will definitely be still getting purchased. But I thought it might be worth parting with the HSTE, giving somebody else the opportunity to buy it, work on it. They could scrap it and rebuild it. They could just finish it off basically, and that did happen. That went onto eBay and it was sold for what I would call a very reasonable price. I started it off at what I was happy to take for it, and it went up a bit further than that, so that was great. And that has been put into purchases of stock that is required for my railway. The stuff that I want, very specifically want, or I've been after for a long time, doesn't often come up, and on top of that, it doesn't tend to be very cheap because the fact that it doesn't come up very often. I've been very lucky the last couple, 2 to 3 weeks I should say. A lot of the items on my wish list have appeared on the internet, and I have been able to manage to get them, and they have been at reasonable prices. So, or actually some of them have been at extraordinarily good prices. But yeah, that's basically what's been going on. And obviously children are going to be going back to school very shortly. They're not back at the moment, and then when they do, I'll be going back to work as well. So that's kind of the gist of what's been going on. I thought it was only right that I should let you know at the beginning of this video so that nobody wonders what's happening or things like that. It's always a hobby, so I'm never going to stick to a regime like a television guide. I'm not going to say definitely on this day this is going to happen and things like that unless I can absolutely 100% commit to that. And my children will tell you, if you ever see me at a model collector's fair or anything like that, that I will never promise anything unless I know I can deliver on it. So there we go. So that's what's been going on. I hope you're all well and that sort of thing. So what I thought I would do with this video is I'll just bring you one thing onto the screen as to what I've purchased recently, and we'll go through it and have a look at it. Remember, my reviews aren't like other reviews where we start giving it a ranking out of 10 and things like that. Mine's more of a case of I've purchased this. I only purchase things that I would want really now these days, and I'll go into why I purchased it, and we'll have a look around the model and basically what I think of it. It's unlikely, unless there are serious faults with a model, or I'm very disappointed because I was led to believe something else towards that model, it's unlikely that I'm going to be very disappointed in it. I'll just let you into that right now. But I also like to sort of give my opinion on the buying process as well, especially if I go to second hand or I've bought it at auction. So we'll move on, and I'll show you what I've been buying. Wait, I'll show you at least one thing I've been buying recently. We'll get over to the desk now, or the table, and we'll take a look. So here we are, back down at the bench after a break for a couple of weeks. So today it's not a locomotive, which is a bit strange for me because normally it's always a locomotive or set or something like that. And in this case, well, it's not the case. It's actually a bit of rolling stock. It was something I didn't know was produced. It's been out for a little while, I know that. And it is an exclusive, and it's an Invicta model rail exclusive, and I'll put a link in the description to their website. So it's in a limited edition. It's an exclusive model. It's a 20-ton standard brake van, and I've got various different brake vans, but this one is very specific for me. And if you've watched any of my other previous videos, you will know that I have a real fondness for the Longmoor Military Railway, and this is a 20-ton standard brake van in Longmoor Military Railway green. Like I say, it's an exclusive model for Invicta model rail. It's product number 37-537X, and there we go. So obviously most of my Longmoor stuff, it's all blue, but obviously it's like army green. So I'll take it out. Usual Bachmann packaging, and you can see there, and we are focusing, if you need to see any of those details, they're on the side of the packet there. And I wanted some rolling stock to go with my Longmoor locomotives, and I'll let you into a little bit of information. During this period, I have purchased even more Longmoor locomotives, and you'll be getting to see those videos soon. But usual packaging. And here we go. So we'll get this to focus in. There we go, lovely. So look at that, War Department 49027, and I have checked, that's absolutely accurate. I've been on the internet, I've searched up images of this actual Brakevan. Sadly, most of them are in black and white, so it's hard to actually tell what colour it was in the image when they were taken, but that number is absolutely accurate to a Brakevan of this description. The finish on it is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I know it looks very basic, it's in the green and it's just got the lettering on and that, but they're so crisp. It doesn't feel, and it is Bachmann obviously, but it just doesn't feel cheap, if you know what I'm saying. Now these aren't expensive, but they aren't massively cheap either. Let's have a quick look around it though. Underneath it has got the detail for the braking and things like that, and these brake shoes and that, they do come off. You can take them off and things like that, because I found that out when I started messing around with the actual whole item when it arrived. Lovely NEM pocket couplings, and obviously just to keep me happy, it has got lovely metal wheels as well. Freehold metal wheels there. These are quite flexible, as you can see. They're not as, how can I put it? The Hornby ones tend to be very rigid, very rigid. So if you do get one of these, be a bit careful, because they are flexible, but I suspect they won't put up with a lot of hammer. Similarly, these lamp irons, they are incredibly delicate, but they're there, and I'm so glad that they're very scale. I mean, they're incredibly thin when you look at them. Same on the front here. Try and get the focus in there. You can tell I'm out of practice. And we've got these lovely separately fitted wire rails along here. Same with these, separately fitted, and they're incredibly delicate. That wonderful little looking glass there for the guard to look along the side of the train, both sides, and these handrails here, absolutely exquisite. Brake pipes fitted as standard, absolutely spot on. Lovely detail with the actual three-link coupling hook, I should say. And the buffers are nice and thin, really nice and thin. None of that oversized bulkiness to them. You can see clearly straight through, and it's minimal detail inside, but it is the correct colours. You can see, wait, I can see, I don't know whether it'll show on here very well, but you can actually see what would be like the stovepipe running up to the chimney here for the guard's small little fire to keep his hot water and things from making a cuppa and a brew and all that sort of thing when he's along there. But you can see just how crisp that lettering is. It's absolutely wonderful. Now, I think they were just shy of £30, which might sound a bit steep to some people, but I think, to be honest, for me, I was more than happy to pay that for them, because I like my Longmoor stuff. So finding Longmoor Brakevans was just a bonus. It means I don't have to make any. I don't have to start painting them, although I probably will, because there was a number of them in blue and things like that, and various different running numbers. And there was, well, actually there was quite a selection of Brakevans at Longmoor in various styles, and they're quite a robust amount of rolling stock there. So you can see all of that riveting detail and such like along that frame. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm so glad that I purchased it. So glad that I actually purchased two. I won't lie, yes, you'll be saying to yourself, but they're going to have the same running number. To be honest, they'll probably be on two different trains, and I'm not too bothered about that. Absolutely wonderful bit of kit. What you'd expect to get from Bachmann anyway. I don't often buy a lot of Bachmann stuff. Obviously, Bachmann have produced the 280 austerity locomotives that I have. Similarly, they've produced the diesel shunter 878 Basra. They've done that, and they've also done 2 exclusives, I think, with Longmoor Mark 1 suburban coaches as well. So I'm used to that. Obviously, my 060 austerity tanks, they were Hornby and things like that. So, you know, I don't often buy Bachmann stuff unless it's very specific. We've seen Green Arrow before, that was a Bachmann model, but a lot of my stuff tends to be Hornby or Lear and things like that. So, for me to actually go out and purchase these, it really had to be because of the Longmoor part of it. But as you can see, it is absolutely wonderful. If you're on the lookout for a Brakevan, you want something a bit different, get on there, because like I say, they're an exclusive. They're going to be limited. I'm very tempted to get a couple more myself. I want to try and get quite a few of them together, to be perfectly honest, because it saves me the aggravation of having to build them. The detail, even in here, with the door frames and the window frames, is just, it's absolutely wonderful. It really is. I'm not too sure if the camera's going to do it justice, but that is one of the purchases I have made recently, which leads me on to the next thing I'm going to inform you about, of what I've been up to while I've been away this last couple of weeks. We all know that Aidan's got an awful lot of Thomas and Friends stuff and things like that, so there have been builds taking place, frameworks and things like that, for model railways. I can let you know there will be basically 3 major model railways in the house, one of which will be Aidan's Thomas and Friends one, which I think is approximately 12 foot by 14 foot, and it's an island version, so you'll be able to stand in the middle of it. It's basically going to have 4 major scenes, so if you're interested in that or anything like that, it's basically going to cover sort of the docks, Tidmouth Sheds area, Knapford Station, which has proven to be quite an interesting one because we've collected an awful lot of parts for that. And then there's going to be sort of a transfer yard leading on to the narrow gauge railway, which brings us on to Katie's railway, which I haven't got the dimensions for off the top of my head, which will incorporate the narrow gauge railway and the Arsdale railway, or to all the grown-ups, that would be the Ravenglass and Eskdale. So I've been very busy with all of the planning for that for Katie as well. And that will lead us on to my railway. Now, I have a huge amount of stock, and not all of it fits in with what I'm going to build, but it doesn't mean I'm going to get rid of it all. It does mean that there's a lot of things that are completely surplus to what I want. There's a lot of stuff I want to keep just purely because I would like to have it, and Aidan can use it as well. So that sort of works either way, but there are some things that, just like I say, with some of the purchases I've made in the past, which have been a bit sort of spur of the moment, those things are slowly finding themselves onto eBay. There's been quite a few 47s on there and things like that, and some repainted coaches. What I'm actually going to be building is an interpretation. It's certainly not going to be Longmoor Military Railway. What it is going to be an interpretation of something very similar, with a very similar name, but it's going to encompass more the operations aspect of it and what something it could have been, if you know what I mean, but using that kind of stock. So I have been stocking up on a huge amount of those kind of items, and I'll bring them to you over the coming weeks on these videos. So that's sort of to give you an idea of what's been going on, and to show you these Brakevans. Like I say, get into the description, have a look. Invicta models, I had a quick flick through a number of their stuff, some great items on there. There's a few other exclusive items I've recently purchased from other stores. Got to hand it to Invicta. I put the order in, and within 3 days, and it was over a weekend as well, I think, within 3 days, these were with me. Absolutely brilliant service, wonderful models. So check them out. I'll put a link there for you. I'll put a link in the description for these though. So it'll take you straight to these, and obviously you can guide yourself through the site there. I don't get anything from you doing that. It just makes it easier for you to search if you want to have a look. So in the meantime, I hope you're all well. I'll be back again soon. And don't forget, like, comment and subscribe. And thank you very much to all of those who've subscribed. 308, I think, was the last I saw in the way of subscriptions. So it's an amazing milestone. It's literally just over a year the channel started. Never expected that. It was just a way of me sharing what I was doing with Aidan, with the models and things like that, as well as what we do with the cars. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you again soon. Bye now.